communities. Linden, we are committed there. Chip's going to review that for us real quickly. It's my pleasure to say that I know these three folks and getting to know them better. I can't go into their bios just because of time, but they're on your table, and I really, really, really encourage you to read it, not when they're talking, but later. These are folks with creative brains. They have big hearts. They have committed themselves and their colleagues to doing good things in Linden and beyond. So we're really privileged to have them here. Chip's going to do a quick overview, and we'll get to our panelists. Yes? Pardon?
Do they admit knowing you?
I want to remind you that these meetings are videoed and filmed and are on public access TV. Therefore, some of us are playing it straight.
Well, thanks, Rick. This panel or program has been a long time coming. I wanted to just take a minute to give a little background. As you know, we started our visioning and strategic planning in December of 2018 under past President Callaway's year and continued into past President John's year with a goal of kicking off our efforts and executing our plan during my term last year. And of course, we all know the challenges from last year, and unfortunately, many of them are still with us. But as part of our planning process, the Columbus Rotary Club, we identified that though we do a lot of wonderful projects each year, maybe there was a way to have a larger impact on our local community, and perhaps we needed to focus on one area of the community where we could really make a difference. Based on our relationships developed with the Peace Builders program and our work at Windsor Elementary, the Rotary leadership team quickly identified the Linden community as the first area of town that we would like to focus our time, talent, and treasure. Linden faces many challenges. It's one of the most impoverished areas of Columbus. Household income lower than 88.9% of U.S. neighborhoods, with 49.1% of the children living below the federal poverty line, a higher rate of childhood poverty than 92.2% of U.S. neighborhoods. While we know there's not a quick fix to any of these challenges in Linden, and we certainly don't have all the answers, that's why Rick Studer, Nancy Trucks, and I sought out conversations with some of the most respected and passionate leaders from throughout the Linden community. All of these leaders have been very open and welcoming and have shared some exciting and successful efforts and programs already underway. And today, Adam, Carla, and Robert will share how and where our club members can join in their efforts to continue to make a real difference. So though it has taken us a while to get to this point, I see today's program as the beginning of a marathon, not a sprint, and a chance for the rest of you to learn how we as a club can continue to make a long-term investment in Linden.
Thank you, Chip. Sorry. Carla and Adam are going to talk about an infrastructure grant, and just listen to how cool this is. You've noticed Carla is the head of the Greater Linden Business Network. Adam is the executive director of the Community Caring Development Foundation for New Salem Baptist Church. This grant is cool, and it's going to do some good stuff, and we have opportunities to help.
Thanks, Rick. I'm going to clap for you if nobody else does, man.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carla Gwynn, as Rick introduced, and I'm president of the Greater Linden Business Network. The Greater Linden Business Network, GLBN for short, is an organization encompassing stakeholders, small business owners, and smaller nonprofits that are situated in Linden, and we call it Linden. North and south is just one Linden. And also other stakeholders that have a vested interest in our community. I have been an entrepreneur in the Linden area for over 20 years, and I can tell you when the pandemic hit, a lot of our small businesses were impacted because they were not able to access the available financial assistance that was out there because, for lack of better terms, the financial infrastructure was not in place. And GOBN, in collaboration with Community of Caring Foundation, were able to apply and was subsequently awarded $50,000 in grant monies to help these small businesses and smaller nonprofits get a leg up with financial assistance to secure and empower them to sustain their businesses going forward. So the disparity between some of the smaller businesses located in Linden, as I said, was prominent during the pandemic and continues to, and these are thriving business owners, stakeholders that just need a little help. So we're here to talk a little bit about Linden and share with you how our community has moved to the forefront to be empowered, to be sustained. Linden is a development opportunity that is like a diamond in the rough. Linden shares two major exits off of I-71, and those exits are the closest exits from downtown Columbus on the major interstate. Development land is inexpensive. There's multitudes of tax credits for companies that invest in Linden and hire Linden residents. So we also are looking for guidance from the Rotary for opportunities associated with our grantees for our Linden Back on Track Business Grant, which is the name of our grant. So opportunities include mentorship associated with the Ohio Small Business Development Center. We're looking for your years of expertise in different areas of legal, accounting, finance, marketing, sales, and also human resource consulting. So Rick will have more information about how you can help us empower our community. Thank you.
Just highlight how much money each business is going to get, you know, what the real bottom line purpose is.
So,
Well,
so each
They know you like telling me what to do. It's okay.
So we have a target of helping 20 small business owners in Linden and 10 nonprofit organizations. Those grants will range up to $1,500 per entity. So it's a start. It's not the end solution, but it is a start, and it's enough, you know, to maybe get someone set up on QuickBooks or get some much-needed HR consulting and so forth.
Wonderful. I am thrilled to be here with my colleague, Carla Gwynn, and my friend, Robert Caldwell. Mike Flowers, I was thinking if you took our last names and you've got Caldwell, Gwynn, and Troy, we might be able to start a new law firm in Linden. What do you think about that, you know? But give it up for Carla Gwynn, who's our leader on the small business front in Linden. So I'm happy to be working with her. For those of you that don't know, now Rick and I promised to behave ourselves, and Rick, I know we're being taped. Rick and I have known each other for 30 plus years, and let me say this in all sincerity. When I came out of college back in '82, one of my first jobs was over at the Chamber of Commerce. He was the business development guy who took a young whippersnapper under his wing and really showed me how things worked behind the curtain. I've never taken it for granted, and so if you will, for me, please give him a round of applause. We chide each other all the time because he didn't have to do that. And 30 years later, he's still shepherding me into rooms and telling me what to do to make sure that I don't embarrass him. But Carla is right. Linden is open for business. And you heard some of the traditional headlines that we have historically heard, but if you opened up the first page of the Dispatch today, the things that we've been saying for the past 5 years, the rest of the world is beginning to discover. And our collective work, including what I refer to as the infrastructure fund, is designed for where the puck is going, not where it is. And if you saw the article today, I was just so reassured to say, man, the rest of the world is beginning to to discover where we are. Now, Bob Weiler, that may propose some challenges for us from a real estate perspective, because anybody who's paying attention in Linden for the past 3 years, real estate does not stay on the market very long at all. And so while we're inviting folks to certainly come, work with us through our model, which we call the CARE model. It is to connect first. It is to basically respect as well as empower, and to also simply evaluate and apprise what's going on, right? So we want to make sure that people feel affirmed in that process. So if you look at the CARE model, it's connecting, affirming, respecting, and empowering. And so when Carl and I had a chance to get together and talk about how this fun tool would help us do this, it then opened up the door for us to invite our colleagues in from the Rotary perspective and say, listen, there are going to be new businesses, new nonprofits that are trying to move from hobbies to sit in the first chair so that they can become the first lead actors in their own lives. And we need your help. We need your help certainly financially, but more importantly, we need your experience and expertise to make sure that when they sit in the seats and the next round of CARE dollars comes down the pike, that they don't necessarily have to depend upon fiduciaries like ours to be the benefactor. So super excited about what we have an opportunity to roll out as a collaborative, and looking forward to working alongside the Rotary as well.
Robert Caldwell is the head of Answer Poverty and Growing Up. He will tell you more about those organizations. I've known Robert almost as long as I've known Adam, but we have a much more mature relationship. So Robert was at our last Linden meeting, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and I found out about Answer Poverty and Growing Up and thought, my gosh, we ought to let you in on some of that, because it's going to wind its way in and through all of what we're doing. So, yeah. Quick overview, and what was I going to? Never mind. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. So I will immediately connect the dot with Growing Up as it relates to the Linden community. Growing Up is actually a pilot program. The UP stands for Unlimited Potential, sort of a play on words, where we have targeted the young men ages 18 to 25 to provide employment and or entrepreneurship support, development support, as an alternative to what other things they might be able to get involved with in the neighborhood. And one of the things that really is at the core of a sort of a philosophical approach as to why we're doing this is that these young men are in the circumstances that they're in, not because they made choices. None of us chose our parents. None of us chose the circumstances that we were born into. And too often we start with assumptions that just write them off. And the reality is, I've been doing this work via Answer Poverty, which I won't go into a lot of detail about that, for close to 30 years, and I've been working with this particular demographic group. And when you start to think of people in the way that you can't expect folks to know how to do things they've never been taught to do. And so it changes your perception. And so you have to come at it with some empathy and realize that people do have capacity if they're given resources and opportunities. And so the Growing Up program, which operates underneath the umbrella, the fiscal umbrella, the Community of Caring Development Foundation, is a program that we put together after a conversation we had with Mayor Ginther last year. And he sort of charged us to put this together and to reach out to the young men in the neighborhood. And so we've put this together. We have resources available to them, financial and otherwise, as well as mentoring support and some vocational coaching support, depending upon what they want to do vocationally. And where you all come in is that we need opportunities for these young men to have internships. We need opportunities for them to have employment. So some of your businesses may be able to offer those opportunities. And then we need help, like as far as the small business development in Linden. Some of these young men want to start their own businesses. And so they need help with business plan, developing business plans and some other types of coaching. And so I think there's a opportunity to connect your passion for service in the community with an opportunity like we have here with the Growing Up program in Linden. So there's a lot of synergy there, and so that's how those dots connect. And I don't want to belabor things regarding Answer Poverty, but Answer Poverty is an organization that I do, and I've done for over 20 years now, and it's all about training and education on how to address poverty issues in neighborhoods like Linden. And some of you may remember the Wyland Park community and all the stuff that went on there. If I have any reputation in this city, it was made during the decade plus that I spent in Wyland Park doing civic association, work with campus partners and doing all that. And so I learned a lot, grew up in Linden, glad to be back, and am investing a lot of what I learned in helping Linden. And this program is one of those things. So thank you for the time.
We'll do Q&A, and we don't have time, but afterwards, you might want to ask Carla some detail about the Sisters of Empowerment. Yes, Tom Carlisi knows all about them. Fantastic resource. Sorry we don't have time to tell you now, but right after. They're phenomenal in what they do. So, questions, you direct it however you want.
You mentioned you work with people 18 to 25.
Yes.
How would someone come to you if they need, I have a small staffing company, nothing big, but they're mainly temp to hire jobs.
Yeah.
But
Please
more-
repeat the question. So he's asked for you.
Oh yeah, but I'm sorry, I went the wrong way there. But I guess my question is, how can I work with you to help people get jobs? Sometimes the trouble is the transportation issue of getting to and from a job.
Right. Well, the question was about how could we connect some of our young men who are participating in Growing Up to the employment opportunities that you all might have. Well, the main thing to do is first contact me, and I can unpack for you what we invest in them prior to even making employment opportunities available to them. And some of the things that we do in our investment, pre-employment investment in them through some training around soft skills and life coaching stuff that we do, is to solve their transportation concerns so that they're prepared to get to work on time. So those are things that we do in preparation. But the young men, if you're interested and we make some sort of connection, we can work out the logistics of that.
Scott, didn't you have did you have these folks' emails in the newsletter? Okay, ask Scott if you want to do some follow-up that way, or email me and I'll get it to you. Yes, sir.
When somebody comes to you, you talk about people going from a hobby to a business, or that's something that's in their mind. Can you tell us a little bit about what the first thing is you do with them when they come to you and say, you know, I think I can do more, and I'd like to start a business. I enjoy doing that. What's the next step?
Sure. We have an ongoing relationship with the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State. So we initially refer any person that's interested in expanding their operation from home-based business to storefront or otherwise to the Ohio Small Business Development Center, as well as ECDI. So we have long-term ongoing relationships with both of those entities.
Yeah, way back. Stand up, please. Yeah.
Could you please tell us a little bit about the Sisters of Empowerment?
Sure. The Sisters of Empowerment is one of our Linden-based small nonprofit organizations. They've been in existence for well over 10 plus years, but they provide job readiness training, so development of those soft skills. And Rick will have a short video that we recorded earlier for SOE that you can refer to. But one of the precious things that will come out of this grant initiative is funding Sisters of Empowerment for some of their infrastructure needs, so they can continue doing their work in Linden.
Let me hasten to add, they also run a pretty phenomenal home ownership initiative.
Yes.
Their home ownership initiative essentially takes folks and helps them carve out a net budget. You know, if you've done anything as a former banker when we make loans, you know, I have no idea what your pet costs are or what your child care costs are. That can be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on a monthly basis. The net budget then informs the consumer about what they realistically can go to the bank for. They do an absolutely phenomenal job. So happy to see, again, continued support for what they're doing, and they're one of those groups that oftentimes gets overlooked in the media, but doing phenomenal work in kind of what I call the shadows of Linden. Yes, sir.
Addresses to you and all. Lois Ferguson, I know well. I want to share with you a testimony of these three sisters. They were in a meeting. There's a entrepreneur in town that wanted to help people in like Linden and other neighborhoods learn how to save money, and they were willing to say, if you save $600, we'll match it. And one place was turning that project down, and Lois was sitting there saying, I'll do it, we'll do it. And I want to let you know, we helped, Rick and I went with them. It turned into $150,000. And what happened, Linden was the first community. I was there, the first celebration they had, and with one woman said, this is the first time I've ever saved money. $600, I am proud of Linden. You know, I'm proud to be part of Linden. So that's some of the testimony that's going on. And I want to let you know, Rotary has 7 areas of focus: peace, immunizations, education. One of them is growing local economies. This is exactly what you do. And there's district fund matching funds. And we might be able to pull multiple clubs together. So that's just my testimony.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Cool. Here we go. Gaylor?
The article in the paper this morning was really great about the population expansion. You might want to comment on that a little further. But my actual question is, how can we stay current with what's going on in the Linden community? Is there a newsletter or Chamber of Commerce group up there that we should try and tap into so we can stay knowledgeable as to what's happening?
Couple things. One has been the bane of my to-do list because, as Carla knows, I've been charged with actually rebooting the Linden app. So it's on me. But it is there's so much happening in Linden on a daily basis, and so we're excited about the reboot of the Linden app because it will give you a central place to come to from the outside looking in to see all the things that are going in. And as Robert just reminded me, Linden is one of the few communities that also has 2 area commissions. They meet on either the 3rd and 4th Thursday of every month. But there are ways, certainly, to get in and to get access. And again, between the 3 of us, there's probably nobody we can't touch inside of Linden to keep you current. But see, now I've got to move the deadline date up to get the app done because it's been asked publicly and I'm on public TV. So, Rick, you have my commitment in the next 30 days that the Linden app will be up. Thank you, sir, for asking that question.
How about 2 weeks? You mentioned business planning. To what extent, and 80% of a lot of law firms and accounting firms are working out of home, not in the office. To what extent have you had a chance to market? I'm talking about your marketing your needs to these firms by contacting the major partner in charges of our law firms and our public accounting firms downtown, and more or less muscling them a little bit to please just give me one of your employees who's willing to work with one of our customers to help them prepare a business plan to do this legal ease that we need done. To what extent have you had a chance to market to those leaders?
Carl is going to weigh in, but I will tell you, we are in the first rung of a 4-legged race. This is the first public, in fact, this is the group that's the first public opportunity we've had to even talk about it. The construct you're talking about is kind of what we call the loan executive program, which we absolutely love. We want to make sure that those we have in queue are ready. So don't want to send you some over to somebody who, man, you've got to do so much digging that at the end of the day, it's just not worth your while. So we've got a list of potential end users first that we need to get our arms around to make sure they're ready. And at that particular point in time, we'll be reaching out throughout our network to bring the other law firms and accounting firms to the table. Carla, you want to?
Yes. That's where the opportunity for your gift of service comes into play. So we have reached out to the Ohio CPAs, as well as the Legal Aid, Columbus Legal Aid Society, for help in those resources to provide to our small business owners.
But the call is coming, so don't go anywhere.
Right.
One more real quick one. Okay, listen, please help us honor these incredible colleagues and resources, not just in Linden, but in our whole community.
I wanted to say one last thing. Whenever someone stands up and so passionately offers advice as to what we can do, I always call on that person and say, why don't you come help us do that? So, you know, you need to, that could be your first step of service. Come help us engage those folk to participate in this with that passion that you brought to that comment.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, you guys. That was really great. I should take my mask off. I can vouch for how wonderful Linden is. I live there. It's really excellent. I love living there. I never want to move. And the real estate thing, I mean, my house doubled in value in like 5 years, so also never moving, ever. Yeah, that's it. Have a great week. See you next week.